Happy hump day, everybody. I'm Amanda Head, the Hollywood Conservative, and this is your Hollywood Minute. So, podcast. How many of you listen to podcasts? I personally love podcasts. There are a few that I listen to on a pretty regular basis. I unfortunately don't have time to listen to podcasts every day, but there are some that I'm pretty devoted to, and whenever I do have time to listen to a podcast, if I'm in the car, one of my favorite ways to kind of decompress after busy days in political media. When I am cooking dinner, I like to put in my headphones and listen to a podcast and just kind of let the stresses of the world melt away. Ironically, the stress of doing political media during the day is what leads me to listen to podcasts while I'm cooking, except that the podcasts are usually political. So try to make sense of that. I can't. So I am curious because I have been looking into the podcast space. And for those of you who don't know, my career actually started out in talk radio. So I actually prefer to be more in that realm of things on television, as some of you have probably observed, especially on my show with John Solomon, who is much more measured and economical and responsible with his emotions and his sentiment. For me, I like to be a little bit more irreverent and sardonic, and some might call my humor a little scandalous, but I have always felt like humor was the anesthesia when you are trying to impart hard truths on people. When you're trying to persuade people over to your side, I have often felt like humor anesthetizes the pain of someone having to admit that they're wrong. So I love using humor, and I'm not always able to do that on my show with John because it is a much more serious show. And that's not because, let me be clear, that's not because John has told me to not do that. He has always said, Amanda, please be yourself. It's what spices up the show. It's what creates this yin and yang between us. I just feel like sometimes when we have important people like Donald Trump on the show, that I should probably keep it chill. So anyway, all of that to say that I'm thinking about starting a podcast, and I would appreciate your input. Let me know in the comments if that is something that you would listen to and would enjoy. Okay, speaking of podcasts, Meghan Markle started a podcast. She signed a $25 million deal with Spotify to be the exclusive platform for her podcast. I don't know where Spotify thought $25 million worth of value would come from as far as Meghan Markle. Critics have absolutely lambasted her podcast. They called her a D-list celebrity who married well. And that's basically it. She doesn't have the spice and flavor of Joe Rogan. She doesn't have the intellect of someone like Sam Harris. She's not really likable. She's managed to piss off people on both sides of the pond. So anyway, so she started this podcast, and the first episode of her podcast apparently was all about her and kind of popping her own collar, and she told a story about how she wrote a letter to Procter & Gamble when she was 11 years old and got them to change an ad because she told them that it was too sexist. And on her podcast, she dives into things like why women are called sluts and the B word and things like that. And I always think to myself about women who have such aggressive grievances about people who use that word about them. Now, granted, I have been kind of desensitized to words like that. I have, for whatever reason, I don't get called the B word that often, but I get called a dick a lot. And I don't know if that's something about, if that says something about my personality. But I get called that a lot. I've gotten called the C word quite a bit on social media from trolls, and it's okay. Why? Because my confidence is in the Lord, and my confidence is in my character and who I am within the kingdom realm on this earth. I am a wife. I am a future mother. My confidence doesn't rest in who I am on TV or anything of the sort. So when someone calls me a C word or a D word or a B word or whatever the word is, it says more about that person than it does about me, I think. That's just the way that I choose to live about it. I have also become very proficient at posting and ghosting. I have not read the comments on social media in a very, very long time. So if you comment at me on Twitter or Getter or Instagram or Facebook or whatever, and I don't respond, it's not because I don't care. It's not because I am lazy. It's because I have to make a concerted effort to not go there, because as Dennis Prager once said, if you let the, what did he say? If you let the praise go to your head, then the criticism will go to your heart. So I just leave it all out. I enjoy my life here in LA with my husband as much as I can in Los Angeles. And, you know, I'm surrounded by great people, great friends, great family. So that is really, at the end of the day, all that matters. So anyway, so she's got this podcast and she has been ripped apart. Breitbart London said, "Are we supposed to care? Woke millionaires Meghan and Harry lambasted as out of touch." So she, of course, has been labeled as out of touch. She married into the royal family and then was biting the hand that fed her, because I will just say this, that I know people in Hollywood who know her, and the way that she has behaved, the way that she has treated the monarchy, and the way that she has treated Great Britain in general is right in her wheelhouse. That's all I'll say. It's totally on brand for her. And look, I'm not a huge fan of the monarchy. I find them to serve very few purposes, except for one very important one, which is to reinforce and retain tradition in the UK. And when it comes to traditional values and traditional institutions within a country like Great Britain, I think that's important. And I also think it's important to have a royal family like that you look to for decorum and proper behavior and you know, things like that. So, societal trends. I think it's important, and I think that Meghan Markle is it's a shame. That's all I'll say. And yeah. Okay, everybody head over to my website, thehollywoodconservative.us, sign up for my daily emails, go to my pillow, use my promo code Hollywood. And again, let me know in the comments if an Amanda Head podcast would be something that you would be interested in. Everybody have a great afternoon.